Welcome to episode 25 of my Robinhood portfolio. And today the portfolio is up $54, and in the after hours the portfolio was up $2. So I'm not doing anything at the moment. I've realized that I could make another Robinhood portfolio video, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And right now the markets have been very bullish. Everything is still going up, and the S&P 500 is reaching all-time highs. So I'm going to quickly talk about what my portfolio has been doing throughout the week, the month, 3 months, and the yearly for this portfolio. But the thing is that I just realized that I have been in the market more than a year now, and I meant to post a Robinhood portfolio video on that day. I think it was September, I want to say 9th or September 7th, but I've long been into the market for more than a year, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about making money and doing trading and learning ideals. And it seems like every day I get better and better, and just try to keep the portfolio going in with good returns. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about my gains for the week. I'm up $133. You can see the portfolio did kind of spike down in this area right here, thanks to the tariffs announcement made by Trump. But the portfolio is starting to spike back nicely here, and that's always a good sign when I see the portfolio spiking back. So for the month, I'm up $335, 2% gain. Really nice. That's a really good, solid return for just this past month. Almost $400 return, which is just absolutely great for me. I love seeing things like that. And 3 months, I'm up a whopping $1,300. So portfolio is really just taking off here. It's like when I see stuff like this, it looks like just picture a plane getting ready to take off, and it just hits the clouds, because that's what it looks like. This is just a straight runway up, and a percentage increase of about 10%, almost 10%, of a 10% gain these last 3 months, which is remarkable. And for the year, I am up 11%, just one tiny percent, or just a fraction of a percent. I'll be up 12%, which is totally beating the Dow Jones, and I think it might be even beating the S&P 500. I'm not really sure, but I think I am beating those two indices, and I'm not sure I'm not beating the NASDAQ. I'm pretty sure the NASDAQ is up 15% right now, so I'm not beating them. But it's still remarkable, guys. I mean, 12%. Who wouldn't turn down a 12% gain? Almost $2,000 that I have made in the market, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm gonna continue to do smart trading and just try to profit off what I can. So, yeah, that's what it looks like, guys, for today, the week, the month, and 3 months, and forward to a year. There's been exceptional gains. So let's go ahead and talk about my stocks. No fooling around here. We're going to go right into the stocks. And since I did a Robinhood portfolio video not too long ago, there's not going to be really a lot of changes with this portfolio, but there are some new additions that I do want to talk about. As you can see, I did increase my Apple shares. Apple did take a little bit of a hit today, but that's fine. They're trending up in the after hours, and this is really just essentially the pinnacle of a buy and hold stock. You just buy it, you hold it, and you leave it, kind of just leave it alone, let it do its thing. And they announced those iPhones recently, and like I said, I looked at the iPhone 7, and it actually is very cheap. They're selling the iPhone 7 for about $300, I think, or close to $400. And like I said, I'm on an iPhone 5S, so I think it's time to upgrade this phone. It's definitely time to upgrade this phone. And I'm taking a look at these Apple products. They do a lot more than just iPhones. There's iPads, there's Apple Watches. It's just a good company, solid company, and this is where a lot of people just throw their money in and just let it sit. So 3M trending back up here. They recently dipped from that mini crash. I think it was. I can't even find it reflected on this graph here. I think it was somewhere around here. It just a mini, almost, it dropped 3% instantly, like literally 3 3% instantly, but it just is really rebounding back up here. 3M, a solid blue chip stock, Dividend Aristocrat, up $164 with them. It's totally remarkable return. Johnson & Johnson, they continue to just shine to be a major contributor to this portfolio. I said this is the Amazon of healthcare because of their diversity across the healthcare sector. They're a very big company, a huge company with a total return of $200. So a portfolio diversity of 9%. This I wish I would have had more money to buy more on that dip when it reached $120. I wanted to buy more shares, but it's a Dividend Aristocrat and another Dividend Aristocrat. So I have all these Dividend Aristocrats in my portfolio, and they play pretty well. They play really solid dividends, and I will continue to hold them for the long term. Procter & Gamble, don't have to say much about them. They're still creeping up. Total return $149, looking pretty good. Dividend yield is one of the best in the market, I think, for that price. Shell Company, RDS.B, trending up. Oil stocks are starting to go back up. They kind of sank. These oil stocks and commodities started to sink down a couple of weeks ago, but they're starting to go back up. I'm really tempted to just sell this stock and take the money because even though I know they pay a pretty good dividend yield, I'm really up on them, $65. The average cost $65. So. And I'm looking at this, and I'm really debating whether or not I should take the money on Shell. Starbucks, I want to talk about the stock right now. I don't know what the news is. I really haven't been doing any research with Starbucks, but they have absolutely just canned out the door with this past week. This past month, almost up 5% or 6% in the past 3 months. This stock is up almost 15%. So, guys, I don't know what's going on, but I love it. Starbucks, very cheap stock. They have stores everywhere. The drive-thrus are always filled. I mean, you just look around, and your due diligence will just tell you that, this is a profitable company. Everybody's always getting coffee. Everybody's in these Starbucks getting coffee, and I just love them. I do. $158, so it's killer return. That's close to the Johnson & Johnson return percentage-wise, but very solid company. It's a solid company. They're increasing their dividend, and I know McDonald's increased their dividend to $1.16, and I'm just waiting for Starbucks to do the same. They've been increasing this dividend with a low PE ratio, and it's really a good stock. Even right now, I still think this is a pretty good buy. Once they figure out their marketing, the stock is going to blow up. This thing is going to go to $80. I feel like. Nexair Energy, they have been trending back a little bit. There may have been some news, an analysis came out and said something that made the stock dip, but it's a really good chart here. It's a trending up chart, so I just think that when you see these trending up graphs, you just have to buy and hold. You just have to wait around. They have a very competitive dividend. That's a hard dividend to beat. With that PE ratio, and like I said, I just think that they're going to be one of the leaders with this whole solar energy thing and how we use it. So Visa is a really good stock. It's a grower. This is another buy and hold. It's up to $150 right now. I actually got in at $132. I got in lower than that, but I had been selling Visa off and on. I decided to just hold on for the longer term here. The portfolio diversity, 9%, total return, $124. So a lot of my returns are starting to spike into the hundreds, the 200s and 300s, and it's getting to the point where I'm looking at it and I say, it's very tempting. You're very tempted to look at this and you take the money and probably put that money in an index fund or something. But I'm just gonna buy. I like to buy, I like to hold, and I like to see what happens. And so far, my strategies are working. So Visa, good stock. It's a very safe blue chip stock that keeps growing. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are playing options with Visa because of Visa calls. Visa calls with options because it's really interesting to see that. Speaking of options, I sold that Microsoft contract I had in the last video. I think it was the expiring date was 2019. I'm not a big fan of options. I could have held that longer if I wanted to, and I ended up selling it. I think I sold it for about $20. But yeah, guys, I mean, this is what people do. They buy these call options and they sell the contract. I may have sold too soon. I do know that I sold too soon, but I'm not a big fan of options anyway. I just wanted to put the money to work and try to make the money work for me. So that's pretty much it. Verizon, not going to say much about them. I think they dipped a little bit. I'm waiting on a really bad dip with Verizon, but they're not dipping much, if at all, anything. I know they got down to $53. That's still not good for me to buy. I still don't like that. I want to buy when the company is. Let's take a look at the year graph. I want to buy. So we got up to 53, and then we kind of got down there, right there. Yeah, right there. $45. That's where I want to buy. That's a good buying point. And then it did it again. So we're seeing if you know how to read graphs, and I've gotten better at reading graphs, we can tell that this is a support level. This is what it's called, a support level, because as you can see, the stock got down to $45, and then it trended back up. Then after that, the stock reached $50, and then may have been some bad news or people started taking profits, and the stock trended back down to $45. So in 2 times throughout 2 months, the stock has trended to $45, and these are what are called support levels. So when you are at a support level, you figure as a person and as an investor that these are good buying opportunities, because the stock has a high probability to spike back up. So this is where your technicals start to play into how you buy stocks, and you could be wrong, but this is what traders do all day. They look at the lines, they look at the candle lines from the graphs, and I should do this new feature that Robinhood has, the candle graphs that I like, because it really shows more of what's happening with the stock, and how much volume is in the stock, the change percentage, the close, the low. It just shows us so much more, and you get so much more depth as far as what's going on with the stock. But yeah, I'm not gonna do that for the sake of this video. I already started this video and had my graphs set up like this. So, but I think this is a really cool feature. I like this feature, and this is why I like Robinhood, because they're always getting innovative with these graphs. I know the graphs were a big reason that people did not like Robinhood was because of the graphs and how laggy it was. But this feature right here, I love it. It shows pretty much everything I need to know. So. Verizon, we're up $7, $6 return today. Not bad. Average cost $53. It's a buy and hold. It's really a buy and hold stock. It's a dividend aristocrat. Wait, well, I don't know if it's a dividend aristocrat. I know that it pays a very solid dividend, and a dividend that I will continue to hold and collect. So we talked about like the major bulk of my portfolio. These are stocks that I've really been holding for the long term, or I've at least been holding for a while now. So now I'm going to talk about Take-Two Interactive. This is the new stock in my portfolio, and the title of this portfolio is called ESPORTS. ESPORTS is something I follow. ESPORTS is something that I like, and we're just going to talk about this stock in general. So the video game market, guys, the video game market is $1 billion industry, and it's growing. And many people ask, well, what is esports? What is it? Like, I'm hearing about esports, but I don't know exactly what it is. Well, basically, what esports is it's a competitive field where gamers are treated like athletes. So gamers actually get paid to play video games. And some people are saying, what are you talking about? Gamers playing video games? How is that a sport? How is that anything of like athleticism and blah blah blah, and somebody dribbling a basketball or throwing a football or hitting a baseball out of the park? How does that meet together? Well, actually, I don't know, like the whole business side of it, like as far as like the ruling of what made this become like seen as an athletic sport, if that makes any sense. But I'm all for it because these gamers, I follow the scene. So guys, we're talking about esports with Madden football. There's people that plays video games, Madden football. The new Maddens that come out, they play football, and they're athletes. This is what they do. This is what their job is, to win and bring money to the company and bring money and market themselves and get sign these giant contracts. Like people and these sponsors, these sponsorships are looking for players that can represent their brand. So when the player wins, they sort of they get paid, and then they get I don't think they pay back the company, but I think, like I said, it's really just to market them, because when people see like a big name in the market, in the esports market, they say, I want to be like him. I want to be a professional gamer. I want to be a professional athlete, and I want to be signed to this sponsor. I want to be exactly like this guy. So they go out and they start buying their merchandise. They start buying, arcade sticks. I follow the fighting game esports scene or something like that. All these fighting games that's coming out. The Street Fighter 5, and the Capcom Pro Tour. I follow it. I follow these guys. I follow all this stuff. Madden, World of Warcraft. What's some other ones? Diablo. Like Battlefield, so all this stuff, Call of Duty, all these esports games, and they're having tournaments, and players are being sponsored. They're being sponsored to go out on these go out of the country and represent the brand. I know there's a lot of brands out there. There's a lot of teams. For instance, the Street Fighter. You look at Evil Geniuses or Echo Fox, or there's a lot. There's so many sponsorships out there that will sponsor you if you're good. If you're a good player and you win a lot, and you want to get your name out there, yeah, that's how you get sponsored. So that's what esports is. It's a competitive video game field where players are being treated like athletes, and their job is to play video games and competitively. Play video games competitively, and and win these tournaments, win big money off these tournaments. So let's talk about. I know I talked about a lot about esports, but Take-Two Interactive. Where does Take-Two Interactive fall into that, and why did I buy Take-Two Interactive? So there's really three video game stocks in the market that have really that people buy. There's the one that I have, Take-Two Interactive. There's Activision, Blizzard. Activision that makes video games. And there it is right there. I think it's around $80 right now. I think they had a recent dip, but around $80. I just wanted to show them. And then there's EA. So there's EA. There might be Ubisoft. I know a lot of people like them. Just recently, Robinhood put Nintendo on the Robinhood app. But these the three stocks that I think investors are really looking at are Take-Two Interactive, EA, and Activision. So why did I buy Take-Two Interactive? Well, Take-Two Interactive, I'm a lot more familiar with their games. They're pretty much responsible for the creation of Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, NBA 2K. So those kind of games that people play and they buy, they're pretty much responsible for it. And I just really think that Take-Two Interactive, they're probably, I would say, out of the three stocks, this stock is probably like the lowest on the chart as far as having anything to do with like an esports scene. Like, I think in terms of exposure, and I'm just speaking of due diligence here, in terms of exposure, and I know the CEO of Take-Two Interactive has said this. He said that he wants to get into esports. He wants to, have the games, sponsored with esports, and players playing competitively with their product. But when we talk about EA, Electronic Arts, they have all the popular sports games that people play with esports, and we're talking about, the Madden, the NBA Live. We're talking about FIFA. We're talking about, soccer, baseball, like all that stuff. They're right. EA has a lot more exposure to the esports market than Take-Two Interactive, but I'm familiar. The reason why I bought Take-Two Interactive is because I'm familiar with their games more, and I really think that Take-Two Interactive is going to have a killer earnings the next time they report, because Red Dead Redemption comes out in October. A lot of people are buying NBA 2K. It's very hot. It's always a hot video game, basketball video game that people play. And a lot of people like it more than NBA Live. So again, these little things that you notice, like I know a lot of people like Red Dead Redemption 2, NBA Live 2K, and they're still getting money off Grand Theft Auto. So those three games are pretty much the money makers. The money makers with Take-Two Interactive. And the next time they report earnings, by the next time they get ready to report earnings, Red Dead Redemption will be out. So. This is it's all due diligence. You just say, "Oh, okay." I just figure that it's going to be a hot game and everybody's going to be buying it up, and they're going to have good earnings. But So Take-Two Interactive doesn't have like great exposure to the esports scene, which is a concern with me. But I liked how the CEO said that he wants to get into the scene. I haven't talked about Activision Blizzard, so. They're responsible for, the Call of Duty. They have a lot of mobile gaming, and they are another stock that has a little bit more exposure to the esports scene. So, yeah, guys, it's really growing, guys. Esports, the video game industry is $1 billion industry, and it's getting larger. It's getting larger, and all these things, EA is sort of right now. I would say EA took a big dip, and they're heading to undervalued territory. I started to buy them, but again, I just think that Red Dead Redemption 2, I just like in NBA 2K is going to kill earnings. This next coming earnings, which is on November 5th. November 5th, they are going to just crush it. So, and then if you look at what happened in the last earnings, quarter 3 2017, you can see they crushed their earnings. So they really just crushed that earnings report. So that's the reason why I bought Take-Two Interactive, 3 shares. I'm familiar with their games more. I like Grand Theft Auto. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to sell pretty well, and I do play a lot of NBA 2K. So yeah, I just think that the esports is growing. Video game industry is $1 billion industry, and it fits what my portfolio is trying to do. It really handles the entertainment side of things. I know a lot of people have Disney as their entertainment stock. I would say Disney. A lot of people have Activision. So discretionary entertainment. This is more Take-Two Interactive, EA, and Activision are more tech stocks, but I guess you can call it discretionary entertainment. But this is a great entertainment stock that should do well with earnings. And then the last stock in my portfolio was Berkshire Hathaway. Like I bought them because I just wanted complete diversity among the banks and retail stocks that I couldn't buy a lot of because, well, I like Costco, but this is really just Warren Buffett's portfolio. This whole portfolio is just Berkshire Hathaway. It's a firm that holds a lot of stocks: Apple, Visa, MasterCard, airliners, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, all that's Costco. Maybe I think they hold some Walmart. So they completely sold out of IBM, so they don't have them anymore. They do have another healthcare stock called Teva. I think Warren Buffett really recently bought up some Teva shares. And let's just take a look at Teva. I just want to show what he's been buying just right quick. Is it going to pull up? Yeah, there it is. So Teva Pharmaceutical, he bought a lot of this sometime back. I think it was somewhere down here. So he buys low, you buy low, and you buy low and you sell high. That's how you do it. And the stock has trended back up here. I remember when I was looking at the stock was around $12. A really good steal, a good dividend. That's a really good dividend for the price of the stock. Teva Pharmaceutical, I know pharmaceutical stocks are a little bit more risky. and that's the reason why I bought Johnson and Johnson. But Warren Buffett, he's pretty much made his money off of that, and he seems like things are doing well. So, guys, that's going to do it. That's my whole portfolio in a nutshell. I bought Take-Two Interactive. The reason why I only bought 3 shares is because Take-Two Interactive is at the high point. The 52-week highs, 138. I bought in at 131. So it doesn't make sense to buy a lot of these shares. I figure that if there is a mini dip or something like that, that's when I'll start going a little bit harder and start buying more shares until I get maybe like 10 shares of Take-Two Interactive. And then I'll just sort of just leave it alone and see what it does. But my research and my due diligence tells me that, Red Dead Redemption is going to be a really popular game. It's going to sell well. NBA 2K is already selling well. They're still making money off Grand Theft Auto games and Grand Theft Auto Online. It's a good stock. It's really an underrated stock that a lot of people like. I know a lot of people have a love or hate relationship with EA, and Activision is still a good stock, but I don't like their PE ratio. I really don't like this PE ratio for Take-Two Interactive. But one thing I can say about them is that I recently like what the CEO said about getting into esports and making some games for esports and just getting into the scene of esports, because video games are growing and soon it's probably be a $10 billion industry these next couple of years. So that's gonna do it, guys. The portfolio is almost up to $15,300, and I'll see you next time.